Alright, today we're slamming the Vanagon, the single cab, with hydraulics, and we're going to use this custom hydraulic ram. We just have to get it through the custom trailing arm with this custom thingamajig thing that... how are we going to get this through? Ryan! Alright, today's going to be a little bit different kind of video. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be a long day, probably 4 or 5 o'clock before we get out of here.
Thinking about 5.
Probably going to have some screw-ups here and there.
Come on, man. You know, everybody makes mistakes.
Anyway, we're going to show you how to get this to do this with that ram all in one day. Stick around.
I need to take that off and bore a hole in the top. Maybe not to the bottom yet. Then we'll figure it out. Alright. This cutting a hole, if that's going to be the center line of the cylinder, it's going to come out to the side somehow, somewhat like you were saying.
Up to the edge of it?
Yeah.
So it almost might be a whole U shape.
But I don't think we want to cut all of that out completely without having the material back in. So maybe it's just going to have a bubble right in here. And we'll
go out? Still keep it?
We'll just have to clearance whatever we got a clearance in there.
Do you have the tubing big enough to just sleeve it completely?
Yes. Hydraulic cylinders. Thick wall. It's like 1/4 inch wall, 3/8 wall or something, so it'll be crazy strong. That's not a problem. We drop a piece of tube in there and it's a cylinder, so it's not gonna flex or want to twist or nothing. It'll be very strong. So, but I don't want to put a giant hole in. I want to put a small hole in.
Start small.
So I have one that's 3.5 ID and another one that's 4.5 ID. The one thing though is when it goes up, when it's coming in, it's gonna move back and forth this way, but when it comes out, it'll only be the rod in the way.
Right,
so it actually have more clearance as it goes up. The harder part's going to be coming down, where it's going to be touching over here, and then when it comes up, it'll actually have more room to go this way.
And at the widest point at the bottom, it's not going to move as much, which helps.
If it's closer to 90, yeah, which it was when it was in there. So something like that.
Yeah. So if that thing is, let's say this was 2.5 here, moving here is way different than it moving up here.
Yeah, because the rod is only, I think it's, I don't remember what it is, 1 1/4, I believe the rod is.
Yeah,
it's much smaller than 2 1/4.
1 1/4, and then at the top, if you have 3.5, it's probably gonna be
a ton load of room there.
There's probably a ton of room.
So yeah, mainly it has to like come out of it at the high spot, which would be closer to this line, closer to straight up and down, which would be easier to drill anyways.
Yeah.
So when I knock these tabs off, and I'm just going to use this as the center line, we'll make that where we had it originally, the center of it, of the cylinder. That'll be the center of the hole.
All right, to walk backwards and get you guys up to speed, we're completely changing where this is going. I mean, I know you haven't seen where this is, but basically this is the rear control arm for the Vanagon. And originally we were going to mount the hydraulic cylinder up on top, but that causes a problem with mounting it inside of the Vanagon. It's way up here. Almost
to the top of the bed floor, and trying to make reinforcement at the top of the bed floor is holding up the truck, so it's got to be strong, and where all our reinforcement is down lower. So if we can drop the cylinder up to the bottom of this, we can put the mounts on our new frame rails that we put in there.
Right.
So it'll be close to it, so we don't have all that leverage and whatnot. And we build things right. We don't want nothing flexing or bending or...
Try to build it once so you don't have to repair what you screwed up.
It's going to be a one-time deal.
So this is the beginning of us trying to see if it works.
Yeah.
And it will work eventually.
It's going to work eventually.
But this is how we figure it out. Yep. You never get to see this behind-the-scenes stuff, so this is going to be cool.
Made these nice ears yesterday. They go in the garbage can.
Knock them off. Who put those on? Robert?
I did not do that.
Oh, well.
They are really nice. I mean, he's tacked them together, and I mean, that's two Handmade ears. I wasn't in a water jet, so
Man, that's
they're perfect.
that's beautiful. Oh well, throw them away.
They're no good. It only sticks out a little bit. We can notch the frame, even though we've already done such a sweet job fixing all that. That's the 3.5. If that tube works, that would be ideal. We'll just cut through. I'm not going to go through the bottom now. I'm just going to cut through the top and then whatever on the side, and we can fake it. Make it look good. But I get a hole saw and we'll just punch a hole. We welded in a gusset in here when we was modifying the control arms. And also there's a plate right here, so we got a plate going down. These things are strong. So we have a plate going here.
Great job on the overkill.
Yes.
Now we got to cut it out.
I'm just going to hole saw.
You're going to go straight down.
Basically, yeah.
And
For
just,
now.
Just to get it opened up and see inside, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to put it back in with the cylinder
In there, yeah.
in the bottom so we can see the angle, to get the angle just right. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's going to work. I know it's going to work.
Good thing is the next Vanagon's going to be way easier.
No, it won't. Exactly the same. Okay, tip for hole sawing. Instead of using the arbor bit and just putting it in here and just ramming it through your hole here, what will happen is you'll pop through the hole and smack the hole saw, especially bigger hole saws, against the metal, snap the center bit all the time. So I always just take the center bit before I stick it in here, just drill a hole through here. So that hole's already done, so you can put your hole saw right in there gently without whacking it down there and breaking it off. Ask me how I know. This is going to get ugly.
Hold on. Hold on a second.
You're not going to want to miss this. Yeah, it's like layers upon layers of...
You want me to hold that handle too?
You get that right in here. You go ahead and set your clutch to give you a little bit so you don't go flying off the table. Look about the angle I want. Yeah.
I'll put some WD-40 on it.
Of course. Yep. Right back. Don't need that anymore. We are almost through. Looking good. Except for I overheated the drill. Oh, no I didn't. I just took the battery out? No, I didn't. Uh-oh.
Well,
Imagine that.
get one of them old-fashioned corded drills.
Those are scarier. They don't stop. Let's just give it a second. It'll come back on, I think. Good thing about this drill is lifetime guaranteed. Bad thing about it is it's maybe not the quality as a one that doesn't have to have a lifetime guarantee.
I have to make a run to the depot.
Yep. just overheated it.
But what you have looks pretty good so far.
Thus far, yeah.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be nice. We're almost through. There's just layers inside here. Obviously, there's this piece here, there's a plate coming down here, and over here there was like a little channel piece that from the factory, and then we added an extra gusset inside there on top of that. So, yeah.
Well, you can't say something from Demon Motorsports is built, you know, kind of half. Can I say half-ass?
I would.
Okay.
We don't do that. It's got to be strong. I don't want people coming back. Do it once, do it right. See, I think that the thing is they put the vent holes, like the air holes, on the end of the drill, and then, you know, you're always drilling, pushing from the top. I mean, most people use that. I don't understand why they don't realize that drill manufacturers don't put the vents on the end when you're going to be pushing.
I'm always burning. My hands getting hot.
Yeah, exactly. I always push there, and I always try to do like that, even like the little drill. It's the same thing. It's like you're doing this, but you're covering up all the vent holes for the air. Doesn't make no sense.
We should go into designing drills.
We could do better. Small one in for this side. I just gotta cut through that little tiny bit there, and the smaller radius will cut it, where the bigger one won't. So I'll cut this off, and I'm gonna cut it off like in here, and just try to get this chunk out of the way, because I know there's a piece of metal right there. There's also a piece of metal right there, so I just gotta cut the top out of there just to see what's inside, so we can keep going. In there. Good job.
It was strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're way in there. Yeah, it's way down in there now. Holy crap.
That's what we're dealing with. Support. And another one here. And it's welded. Because we welded it. At least we caught it before we did the hole saw. Save us some time later. That shows us. Yep. Lots more metal. So cut the back side off. This one. I'm getting in there. So that would be the center. That's a 3.5 circle. Look at that. It's going just like that. Probably nowhere near where it needs to be, but we need a hole there. That's dead on balls accurate.
He said balls.
It's an industry term. Okay. Whenever you're hole sawing through jagged metal, especially with a giant hole saw. I mean, that's 3.5, but going through sheet metal can be way worse because it tends to grab. Always set your clutch, just leave it a little loose. You can always tighten it, you know, if it's slipping too much, but that way the drill doesn't grab and the part doesn't fly out. I mean, you can break the hole saw and then you're kind of stuck. Okay, that looks really good. That angle looks like it's spot on too as far as coming up to the other part. It'll be a taper, but it should be because that's leaning in. So now I'm gonna get the cutter and I'm gonna cut that again. Connect the dots. Looking like something now. You can see all that stuff that's inside. It was nice and sturdy. It's okay. Will be again. It's kind of weird. It's kind of getting cut up through that top piece. Sure like to get that a little deeper than that. There's our fake cylinder. With the spherical bearing at that end. It's gonna work.
It's crazy. That's loud. Spend it, what, an hour or two building a fake cylinder, but you wonder why. Because we don't have the parts that we need to put this thing together.
Right.
So when you're on a timeline like this, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Exactly. Plus this will be a lot easier. We don't have to worry about damaging the cylinder or arcing through with no attacking on the parts in there. We can build the whole thing right off of this. And then when the cylinders come, we're gonna weld our spherical housing in on the end, drill a port for the fitting. We have to put 5/8 times in the other end anyways because they come in half. So we're gonna put 5/8 to make them extra strong. And it's done. Don't worry about it.
Lunch meal.
It does look good. Fairly pretty close representation. Besides me. All right, here we go. Test
15 shots of us doing this.
Yeah. It's a bigger hole now, see?
Ooh. That was
Alright, now it should work either. Back on the table. There you go.
You have a spacer there.
For now, anyways. A little bit more right here. We can get the cylinder to move over enough, but then we're going to take the tube, instead of just dropping it straight through, we're going to cut it in half, lean both sides out so it's touching this side, goes to the bottom will be round this way and the top will be ovaled, and then we'll just fill in the gaps on the side of that tube, so it'll kind of be like a cone shape, but like an oval cone shape for that. It's going to look good. Still cut out. Alright, what we're going to do next, we're going to cut a piece of tube. This is what we're going to use. Awesome. That should put a lot of strength back in it, huh? Then we're just gonna cut it longer and then cut that piece in half. That way we can make that half, make this half. We'll just leave that gap in the middle, whatever gap we have. We'll just weld plates in between it. We can weld it all to the inside. So I'm thinking like cut it 8 inches will get us done. And then we have to step it all back because the cylinder has to fit inside this. And right now it's kind of getting close to hitting in here, so we'll have to open all this up. But that's not a big deal.
Over that cord? That's a different
That's
cord.
what it is. Cool. Okay, we're going to take this tube, so it's going to fit inside there. We need to cut it in half, perfectly in half. Tilt both sides out. The bottom will stay at that, but for now we're just going to cut both halves out. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways we can mark this so we get a perfect cut. This tool right here is exactly what it's for. It's for marking the center. What you do, set it over your piece there, or your circle, and it butts up to whatever size circle you have. And I always do it both ways. I'll mark it that way and then flip it around without moving anything in case the marker line is a little thick or whatever. This way you'll get it really perfect. And then we can transfer the line here and here. And then all we need to do is hold it steady, and we can use a block of wood like this. It's a little awkward in front of the camera, but hold it on our line there. If everything is spot on, this will draw a nice straight line all the way down. You know, a nice line there. We do the same thing on that line there, and cut them out. We're going to cut them with the cut-off wheels, so not the bandsaw. It's hard to do it in a bandsaw and not tilt it one way or another. So another way, if you don't have one of these, which probably most of you won't have one of those, is this is 3 5/8. So find something. There we go, 3 3/4. This is fine. We'll take that. We'll just trace it. I'm going to trace this hole in the center too. Now what we need to do is find the exact center of that hole. So we'll use this here ruler right here. It's a 3/4 inch hole, so all we need to do is put a line right here. Using a marker probably isn't most accurate. Here's a pencil. Take that and just draw a straight line through. It doesn't matter where you draw it, just draw a straight line through that circle. So now we have it sitting like that. We can just take our piece, center it up over our hole. Even though it's a little bit bigger, we can eyeball that fairly straight, and then transfer those marks to the tube. Put a mark on that side, put a mark on this side. Do the same thing with your block of wood. Come back down and draw a straight line, and that'll be perfect, cutting it perfect centered in half. There you go.
Now back to work.
Back to work. Ready?
Yeah.
Can I go?
Sure. Shit.
Here we go again. That's gonna help. We're gonna leave a little bit on the end there. We'll do both sides the same way, because obviously my vise isn't big enough to go that way, so pushing it this way is going to clamp it together, and you don't want to cut through and have it squeeze and yank that grinder out of your hand. But you just notice I was cutting it, so if the grinder was to go, Rob's going to get it. Okay, there it is. It looks a little bit better in there. Still not 100%, but I'm not sure which way I need to go, so I figure we'll start there. But pull a piece in. Uh-oh, look at that. All right, you know, it's going to be straight like that coming across. Definitely a little bit more to clean up. Yeah, that's got to, okay, there you go. Now you can see that needs to be all the way to there. So that kind of tells you where we need to cut on the inside. All of this Got to go that way. More grinding. That chunk right there is where I'm having the issue. I'll go down and just a little bit right in there. When it gets to here, it's like a 1/4 inch more that it needs to go. So that needs to go back 1/4 of an inch. Might torch that so it takes a little less time. Test number 364. Looking nice. And we're still not there yet. Seems like I'm not doing anything, right? Promise you I am. Getting closer. It's the one above it now is a problem. I think so. Yeah, see, we're clearing there. There's our 1/4 inch that we're looking at. So now we just got to get that one up there a little bit more. Got it for this time, right? Not necessary. Oh, okay. Horrible. It's actually hitting right there. You see that corner? Clean that corner out, because it ain't gonna fit in there anyways. All right. One side is almost done. One side, because we still have a whole other controller to do after this one. That might not be for this video. Bottom looks good. Now we just got a little bit more here at the top. So what's the problem? That fits good there too. So what exactly is pulling it out? Is it that? It's got to be that. Okay, it's the top one. That one. That needs moved. We'll get it moved. Look at that. Tells us that that one's hitting. We're good here, so it's only right there in the middle. We're good here. Go all the way around. Actually, yeah, we're gonna have to put that back just a little bit more. And right there. Actually, the bottom one looks like it'll be fine. It's just gonna be that top. Right there and right there. Let's do that. Did I get it? I think I got it. That side's okay. Man, that's it. According to my calculations, the whole piece is gonna fit. Still a little bit up here. Go figure. What exactly is holding that up? I think it's nice and tight on the bottom there. Honestly, I think that edge right there needs sanded back just a little bit. Not close enough. I gotta hit this top corner right there. It's hitting because it's touching at the bottom. It's hitting right there. Everywhere else, we got enough space. I believe this is gonna be the last time on the front. If I just sand the paint off of this, it would be okay. That's it. Is it touching the bottom? No. There's a little bit of wobble. How is it hitting? Why is it always hitting somewhere else? Actually, that looks pretty good. Huh? Right there. See, it looks like it might be hitting in that corner. Doesn't have to go much. Just a smidge. I think that's it. Look at that. Pretty good fit all the way around. Not that the cylinder's going to work in that, but a good start. Have to start somewhere. All right, now to do the exact same thing on the other side.
Whew. This is a lot of work. Holding this camera.
You're doing a fine job. Okay, what we've got going on here, looks like, is we don't want to cut these in case it's wrong. But we want to cut them because we have to check to see if it's wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the outside, the forward one, because that was the one that was more of a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it on the outside. When I'm all said and done, I want to cut it smaller so that I can weld it nice corner to corner. So at least if it's on the outside and I had to tip it a little bit more, it won't end up being too short, because I just have just enough metal to do one more set, which would be the driver's side. And that's the plan. Okay, we got our piece in here. I don't know if you'll notice, but yeah, it's not the same piece. None of you guys actually yelled at me when I was cutting that, and I cut it wrong. So I had another piece that's 1/4 inch wall, so it'll only be that much stronger. So I cut this whole side down here, as you can see, which was really nice. It fit perfect, but it needs to come all the way around here. So I threw a little temper tantrum, and I'm all good now. Found another piece, put it all in there, and basically we'll cut this one out here. But what we're going to do first is we're going to put this back in the car, and we're going to make, use this for what we was using before, just a temporary something to hold the bottom of the cylinder. But now we can tuck it as far forward as possible, because we know that's where that edge will be. And that way when it comes all the way, when the arm comes down, it'll be closer to this side, and we will be able to see if it's going to work before we go cutting this one here, because we might have to cut more into it. I hope not, but it's the kind of stuff you have to do to make it work. So, back and forth.